Hello, hello. We have a lot of ground to cover. This is episode 9A. I separated the astrology mainly because we are still in between eclipse seasons, and there's so much rooted and weighted in this to the point where even I'm getting the video out later than I intended, due to our personal lives being affected by what's going on. So, we are talking in August about what truth is ready to move from possibility into lived reality. All right, the courage to live what has changed. So, in this episode 9A, this is the astrology companion to episode 9. So, if you missed that, go back and catch it. But the Pisces lunar eclipse, so when the dream meets reality, and it's really important to realize we are in overall the 18-month cycle of the Aquarius Leo. And in the Tree of Life system, I call it the river. Astrology, it's access point. And we are moving through the Leo and Aquarius energy and lessons and all the things that those will bring up. However, Virgo and Pisces still have their fingers involved. So it's almost as like one river's overflowing into the other and reminding us. So we're going to talk about that Virgo Pisces river, and we're going to go through this because this is wrapping up the eclipses for the 2026 season. And then, of course, 27 will have its own lessons because eclipses are so rare, they happen all the time. Um, all right, so what are we ready to release? This was episode's 9 conversation piece, and we're talking about releasing to grow, right? So we're shedding branches in order to grow new ones. We're shedding what no longer fits us or suits us in order to grow and adapt into something new. So when August opened, we had that solar eclipse and it's closing with the lunar eclipse, and it's at 4 degrees Pisces. And so these two eclipses, like I was talking about previously, belong to two great rivers, the Leo Aquarius one, which, and again, I've got lots of notes here, just you guys wonder why I'm looking away because I'm trying to get you all the information. So August with Leo Aquarius is heart circulation, courage, awakening, and electrical signaling. So the beginning of August was amped up. We were like finally getting out of watery energy with Mercury being in Cancer for so long, and finally awakening to our dreams, our goals, what we desire, what we want to move forward. And now with the Virgo Pisces energy, we are being asked to look at discernment, digestion, integration, emotional movement, lymph, immunity, and the feet. And the feet is in, do they hurt? And the feet is in, am I moving forward? The feet, we are where our feet are at all times, at any given time. You cannot escape that. And the feet actually record every step you take, literally, which is why I love working on feet, because a client can tell me one thing, but their feet might tell me another, because the feet just record non-biasedly, non-judgmentally. This is how it is. And so this is reminding us that the path that we have walked and where we are is vital and important. So the solar eclipse, which carried the air and fire energy, it carried ignition, possibility, courage, and movement, whereas this lunar eclipse this week carries water and earth, so feeling, sorting, embodiment, and release, right? So everything that's come to the surface, everything that we want, everything that's sort of, yes, this is where I want to go. This yes that we're saying to ourselves, all of this enthusiasm has kind of slipped when the sun moved into Virgo, because it's getting weighted. And now Mercury is in Virgo as well. So it's getting weighted down in the reality of the situation. It's not diminishing your excitement or your dreams or your goals. It's just asking you to strip away that which is holding you back, the illusion of not moving forward. It just wants you to let that go. So one eclipse struck the match, and this eclipse asks what we're ready to create with that light. So it's not about the fire going away. We've already lit the fire, but you have to tend to fire. Fire doesn't just light and then say, poof, there I am. I exist now. No, you have to feed it. You have to provide it with nourishment. You have to care for it. You have to tend it. So any yes that came up over the course of this month, yeah, you now have to do the work in order to maintain that yes. And sometimes it's a really tough position to be in. So the solar eclipse illuminated the possibility, and the lunar eclipse is now asking what can become real, which is more than what most of us tend to think, because sometimes we're so lost in the dream that we forget to feed the reality to create the dream or bring the dream down to earth. So, what's been hiding beneath the surface, especially astrologically, and this is in the We Grow section. So, it feels like a sudden revelation. Deeper truth is developing for many reasons. Some people are being asked to shed parts of themselves that they use to protect themselves. Like it's a big comfort zone that's being rattled loose. So, in some cases, it feels like a denial. Actually, it's really funny because I can't read the words with my glasses on. So June and July carried significant changes in perspective, communication, identity, and nervous system awareness, right? And August brought those changes into question. So we're asking, what courage do we have? What permission do we have? What values do we have? What energy, what choices are there? And the reality is the choices are not coming from outside of ourselves. It doesn't matter what society says. It doesn't matter any of those things. It matters what you decide within yourself. And if you're looking to someone outside of you for permission, because what if they don't like me if I make this change, then they're not the people that are meant to move forward with you. And you have to make that decision. Your nervous system has been speaking to you. So when your nervous system speaks to you, then it's time to listen. And that's again, it brings us back to the feet, right? Because our feet will talk to us, our body will talk to us, our body will scream at us to pay attention. And this is where that awareness comes into play. So August brought these changes, okay, forward. So the lunar eclipse brings us to the layers surrounding what has already changed. So the eclipse is not changing anything for you. It's just making you aware of the needed changes and of the changes that you've made and asking you, are you ready to invest into yourself in order to feed the fire within you, to feed that yes within you, to feel these dreams, these goals, that aliveness? What are you doing to feed this? And what appears to be new information is more likely recognition of something you've already seen within yourself from before. And so it's about recognizing what has remained true beneath everything we have learned to carry. So, what have we learned to carry? So, hidden truths coming to light, shedding old skins. This has definitely been the theme over the last 3 months. Releasing emotional armor, so that defensiveness, that feeling of just trying to prove your point. It's not about being right. It's not about winning. It's about understanding that we all have different perspectives, different stories, different timelines, and therefore we're not all going to look, see, feel, hear, or do things in the exact same way. One person's right can very easily be another person's wrong, and that's okay. Learning to accept that is where we're at now. Shadow work during eclipse season is always really important to dig deep. Eclipses force us to go down to dig deep. So we're learning, in one part, the yes, the ignition. But in order to get the yes and get the fire going, we also have to do the work behind the scenes to allow ourselves the permission to bring our dreams to the light. And of course, stepping into your authentic self. One of the things about the fixed signs and Leo Aquarius are there in the next 18 months is just reminding us to live in our own authenticity, right? That's one thing they share in common is that they will not budge to be someone that they are not, those placements, those energy signatures. And so therefore this is asking you where you have Leo and Aquarius in your heart in order to bring it forward, to be authentic to yourself. And it doesn't matter what your sun sign is, you have these placements and these energies within you, and it's about learning how to use them to move forward. So we navigate through the astrology this week. Okay, Mercury enters Virgo is ahead of the full moon, and by the time you get this video, it will be there. Mercury is the scout. Okay, think of him as the scout that's moving into the Virgo Pisces River first. So Virgo gives Mercury the practical assignment, and this is sort the information, identify the pattern, clarify the language, separate what is useful from what has completed its purpose, translate awareness into something we can apply. So this Mercury in Virgo is going to be working for us. Mercury is really comfortable in Virgo. It's one of its two ruling signs. Mercury in Virgo is not so much like Mercury in Gemini is like within the throat chakra. Mercury in Virgo is more in the solar plexus of what do I want to achieve? What do I want to do? How do I want to succeed? Where's my I am? How am I processing this information? What have I learned? And what do I need to do to build that fire? Mercury is also in an uncomfortable conversation with Pluto and Neptune during this time. So it's like these new systems that are trying to roll in from what has been broken free. And also at the same time, dreams are beginning to really push forward. And so this is where we want to take the dreams and take the change in systems and say, how do we want to knit this newness together? How do we want to build upon what we know can no longer exist and move towards what we need to have in our life right now? The sun follows Mercury into forming these same conversations. So Mercury is kind of the scout that goes ahead, and the sun really illuminates what needs to be worked on. So Mercury identifies and sun illuminates the significance. So just understand that things will be coming to your awareness, and you'll be able to move forward with this over the course of the next while because of these conversations. Pluto's revealing deeper structures, power dynamics, or the truth behind the visible story. So it's like if something isn't aligned, you say no. And if something is aligned and you get wide open excitement with it, say yes. How it's going to work out, how it's going to play out isn't important. It's trusting in your authentic self. Neptune will reveal your imagination, ideal dreams, spiritual meaning, and the places where boundaries and clarity has softened. And this is why we need Mercury in Virgo right now, is because with this softening and Neptune, we're kind of just willy-nilly going ahead, which is great in a lot of situations. But Mercury's just there to remind us, so let's categorize it. Let's organize this a little bit, and then we can step forward with our dreams. So what we imagine, what we feared, what we once believed is possible, what our present life can support, and what is now ready to take form can all be visible at once. And that's what can be overwhelming, is you see who you were, you see who you are, and you see who you want to be all at the same time. And it can get overwhelming and confusing. And so this is why we need the discernment. This is why these Virgo Pisces rivers are overflowing in this energy, is because we just need that subtle reminder that even in all this big energy, it's still, we need a table to put it on. We need some sort of foundation to put it on. Let's have this big energy, but let's sort it out. We don't have to understand it, but we got to sort of kind of move through it in I guess an organized way. So the reality is the truth is coming to the surface, whether you're ready for it or not. So Mercury will recognize the pattern. The sun illuminates the pattern and what it means for the life that we are creating. So this is why we lay it all out. So lay all your cards out, understand it can be overwhelming, and then you'll begin to see the puzzle pieces fit together. So Mercury and Uranus are quite active, and they're going to be for the next little while when I was looking ahead into September and October as well. But the important conversation that they've had through the entire month of August in the eclipses, now they started their conversation in the full moon at the end of July, because remember that full moon is really very much included in eclipse season. And it was sort of, because it didn't have eclipse written on the calendar, people didn't get into the hype about it. So the connection created an opening for information to travel. Okay, so two parts of different stories started to show that they were connecting. And again, it raised awareness. And now as we move through the Pisces lunar eclipse, the sun is involved with this uncomfortable conversation. Uranus is asking us to step out from the box that we have lived in before, because Uranus is talking to both, simply put, Uranus in Gemini and Mercury in Virgo are all talking together because they're all in Mercury-ruled signs, which amplifies this energy. And when I talk about the tree of life and Mercury is like the circuitry that runs through the body. It's the pieces that get the information where it needs to go. So if you have a house, it's the electricity in the house, how you turn the switches on and off to show the light, share the light. Uranus is the outside source, so the ethereal knowledge that's coming in, the surge that sort of flares up Mercury's circuitry. So think of it as the power pole from the street that delivers the energy into the house. And sometimes Uranus can surge. In this time frame, Uranus is pumping a lot of information and Mercury's trying to grab it, the fizzled ends, and trying to make sense of it. So if it feels overwhelming, just understand that it's just let it in, put all your cards on the table, and the pieces will begin to fit afterwards. But just know it's asking you to shed what is no longer authentically yours. And it can feel like a disruption because the nervous system is receiving and organizing information simultaneously, but in two different ways. So the way the information is coming in is not necessarily the way it's received, and the way it's received just is getting discombobulated and the energy is getting distorted. So allow yourself that space and time to just step back when you do feel overwhelmed. It's not about getting rid of anything right now. It's kind of leaving all the cards on the table. Who you were, who you are, and who you will be are all at the table at the same time. And normally it's only one part of you at a time that's there. So remember, the astrology itself does not decide what the information means for you as the individual. That is so important to remember. Astrology actually invites observation, discernment, and conscious participation. Okay, so this is not about going to an astrologer and saying you are going to win, or you're going to be great at, or you're going to lose this, or whatever. You know, the prediction is really mute, because when you sit in observation and discernment about what's going on with you, you can actually begin to realize which things you need to participate in for yourself in order to create the best case scenario. And this is what the energy is reminding you of right now, is maybe it's time to let go of who am I going to meet? Who am I going to marry? Am I going to win the lottery tomorrow? It doesn't matter, because you've already won inside. And if you've already won inside because you're making the best decisions for yourself, then everything and every choice you have is working out in your favor. And that's what astrology wants you to know. And that's what the universe wants you to know, is that you are succeeding. How do you want to succeed? How do you want to navigate through? Like spilt milk, okay? Spilt milk can be a crisis situation. Spilt milk can be a trauma situation. Spilt milk can be an event that happened to you that was beyond your control. But the thing is, once the milk is spilled, it's spilled. It's not about the mess made. It's about the choices and how to clean it up and move forward. That's where the true strength lies. And that's what the astrology is trying to remind you. There can be sudden downloads, of course, over the next week or so while we're finishing up eclipse seasons. Unexpected revelations. Journal, write them down. Nervous system activation. If your nervous system flares up, practice the steps it does. Like maybe book yourself a meditation or a yoga class, or get involved with a group work for nervous system regulation. Somatic body work is really great for this. There's a timeline shift going on internally, right? And this is the thing. We might recognize the shift in the energy externally because everybody is changing. But you know what the funny thing is when you strip away all of the stuff that can overwhelm you, the only one that has to shift is you. And if I shift and you shift and they shift and they shift and everybody does their own individual shiftings, we will then shift as a whole. And so this is what it is. We don't need to pay attention to the outside. We pay attention to ourselves and our inner selves and how we are making those shifts. And that's how we participate in this. And it is like a quantum leap in energy. We are leaping very, very quickly, but we are meant to do this at this time. And so what are you doing to strip away what no longer serves you so you can participate in this collective shift? So the earlier eclipse in August opened the circuit, and this particular eclipse reveals where the current structure needs to change so the signal can move through. The signal's already there. And if you're getting knocked down, it's mainly, and if you're struggling at this time for whatever reason, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what are you resisting? What is it that you are resisting in your world that's not allowing the changes to your betterment exist? Right? And I can tell you that even in our house, 2 out of 3 of us are directly impacted by these 2 eclipses. But the third, which happens to be me this time, I am impacted because of the ripple effect. Their changes are impacting me. So it's not about me saying, haha, I'm not hit, so I don't have to pay attention. No, I do the work on myself as well. Imperfectly, of course, because we're all flawed, and learn the lessons as I grow through them and allow them the room to make the shifts they need, because these eclipses are more intense for them. I've gone through, I think it was 1 or 2 eclipse seasons ago, both of them impacted me and I had to move through that, right? So it's about making those choices and understanding you're exactly where you need to be. Remembering that in the tree of life system, Uranus represents the evolutionary voltage of reception. So Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury carries and translates the signal, whereas Uranus changes our capacity to receive and connect to that signal. So Uranus connects through thoughts, memories, physical response, relationship, repeating patterns, past experiences, present choices, and future possibilities. This is why it's so important not to worry about your sun signs when it comes to intimate things, because there are so many other placements that will affect intimate relationship. Recognition can arrive quickly because the connection does happen all at once. The information itself, it's already been there. It's just kind of like, pulling the blindfold off our eyes and we see it clearly. It's the time it takes to process it, right? Because once we've lit the fire, we have to take the time to feed it. We don't want to throw all the wood on at once, right? We want to take our time and pick very carefully. We don't want the wet wood on there. We don't want this big piece because we want to control where this fire is blazing, right? So understand that there's a lot of spiritual downloads over the next few days, awakening energy, sudden breakthroughs, higher consciousness, and divine revelation. So Uranus is awakening our capacity to receive our truth as uniquely as it needs to be for us as individuals. So what I receive and what you receive and what the next person receives is all going to be different, but it is specific to each of us. But it is receiving the truth that has already been moving throughout our lives. So it's almost as though the truth that has been sitting there, and you get to finally be like, oh my goodness, I've been reaching for that for years. So I get to hang on to it now. So the lunar eclipse, of course, Pisces is in a water sign, so we're going to be looking at emotional movement, intuition, imagination. Dreams could be very well heightened, permeability, surrender, and connection with something larger than itself. And I can admit that I feel this already. I've been sleeping very solidly, but waking up as though I hadn't slept at all. So I know that on a spiritual realm, I'm very, very busy, and I will appreciate sleep after the full moon does its thing. So in the soul to soul system, it's within the earth degree, that 4 degrees. It's an earth degree, so it's very earthy. So it is bringing it into ourselves. We are feeling how these emotions are going to be embodied, okay? And across the river, Virgo's bringing discernment, practical application, sorting, digestion, integration, elimination. So attention that the whole system can genuinely use, right? So we imagine it through Pisces and we determine you imagine what can be done with Pisces, and then with Virgo, you determine how it can be developed, supported, practiced, and lived. And this is why it's a really great time of year to return to routines, because we're sort of bringing back who do we want to be and how do we want to be. Pisces softens our attachments, loosens us up, allows us to feel a bit, whereas Virgo helps us identify the essential truth within it. This is why they work so beautifully together. Release becomes a process of peeling back the layers surrounding the dream. So this is about manifesting dreams, turning dreams into reality. It is a full moon about manifestation, and even when it comes to the releasing process and we move into the waning phase, this isn't about releasing our dreams. This is about releasing the anchors that have held us back so we can achieve our dreams. All right, where do the two great rivers meet? I know I want to keep going. I have a few more pages here, so I want to, skip through the notes as best I can. The two great rivers, Leo and Aquarius, fire and air. So the heart, the courage, creative expression. Aquarius is with circulation, electrical signaling, nervous system awareness, and then we're bringing them into. So yeah, the river here carries the original ignition, right? So that beginning of August, 2 weeks, is so vitally important to look at. The heart recognized something and the electrical system carried the signal. That's Leo and Aquarius in a nutshell. It's like, I desire this, and the body went, yes, let's do this, right? And then we move into the Virgo Pisces, or it overflows into this one with earth and water. So let's discern what we need to bring. Let's digest this information. Let's do the practical structure, the integration, the ability to identify what serves the whole. Is this possible? Is this capable? And of course, the Pisces bring in the imagination, emotional flow, intuition, and the release of what we no longer need. This river decides how inspiration can be embodied. So we've had the yes from the heart and the let's do it from the electrical system. And now, okay, let's bring it in. How can we make a plan? How can we make this dream a reality? This is possible. This is like you saying, I want to finish high school, and you finish it. That's a dream made reality. I want to go to college or university, and you finish, and that's a dream made a reality. I want to have kids, or I want to own a car. I want to own a house, or I want to, I don't know, go play a sport of choice. Like, it does not matter what your dream is. Your dream is yours and so uniquely yours. This is a reminder that you have accomplished your dreams you set in the past. So this is your yes. What did your heart burst with at the beginning of August? And what is your electricity just tingly with excitement to do? And that's why this river overflowed. Okay. Yes, dreams becoming reality, heart activation, energetic upgrade, and the new reality emerges. So the spark of possibility began, and the possibility of this being reality is where we're at. And so we live section when the circuit reached the body. So this eclipse is deeply connected to the nervous system. We're very much in the body with this. We've talked about that. Mercury carrying the information through. So together they receive the signal. And the very strong Uranus-Mercury conversation can definitely look, what do you want for routines? How can you simplify your routines? How can you create it so this energy burst within isn't, distracted by such outside sources? So more quiet. movement, creative expression. This is a really great time to allow that energy to move through your body. Like when you swallow Leo and Aquarius energy, it gets like, and you just vibrate. So you have to move it out, right? So it is very much moving. Physical space. What do you want to get into? Which routines? Like you talk about New Year's being the time when you're like, yeah, okay, so January 1st, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna do this, all these resolutions. And I would actually say, don't worry about January right now. Right now is your time to do these resolutions. Create the greater physical space, time to process before making a decision. The energy surges, the feeling wired and tired. How can you work with that? So remember that the sky describes the pattern, but the body will just reveal how you are personally living it. So it doesn't matter what the astrology is in the sky, it's how you're integrating it into your body. That's all. Because if the power surge from the street activates the house, well, that surge is going to determine what room gets lit up and what one fizzles out. So it's about paying attention to where you're over amplified versus what's not getting enough and knowing this. So August began by asking whether we could trust what we know. Okay. Can we trust what we know? What do we want to say yes to? And the dream moving in has carried all the possibilities you've been desiring. Discernment gives this dream roots, and release creates the space for it to become a lived reality. So I do invite you to go back and watch episode 9, What Am I Ready to Release? Watch any of August's videos because the courage to say yes. Continue through the Compainion articles on Substack, which can be found through my website. All these links are in the description below. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I get new videos coming up. And join me in the Soul to Soul Tree Sanctuary. We're getting a little bit more hands-on in the weekly reflections as well. Of course, there's journaling questions in there. And remember to comment and say hi. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your eclipse week and you don't catch this video too late. And even if you watch this one after the eclipse and you're still here listening, understand this information is going to go for a few days. So I want to thank you very much and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful eclipse.